And joining me right now on the HRNP listener line, no restraining order, it's my radio ex-wife and Rocket Sideline reporter for Space City Home Network, Vanessa Richardson. Vanessa, it's great to catch up. Hope you're doing well. In Big D right now, right? In Denver?
So it's a brutal back-to-back, like Dallas last night and then Denver today. And if you can tell in my voice, like whenever you wake up in Denver, it's just like you're stuffed up. It's dry. There's the altitude. I actually love Denver. It's beautiful. But this is a heck of a back-to-back. We landed at like 1:30, so here we are.
The Rockets own the Nuggets this season for whatever reason. That's fun. It's been a great start to the season, Vanessa. And I think one of the just better things to see, ironically, after last night's game is Ime Udoka just lighting his team up for the many fouls that they had. There's a completely different attitude with this Rockets team this season, and I'm sure you're noticing it at every single practice that you go to in addition to after last night.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, it's nothing against the last regime, but when I went to Summer League, I mean, like in Vegas in July, I went to my first Rockets practice under Coach Udoka and his staff, and I was like, oh, this is completely different. It is a culture of complete and total accountability. He has no problem calling each and every person out. His coaching staff, they're all super young, but they're all very, very qualified. Like, they all played either overseas or in college. So they're doing every drill with the guys. He brought in some player development, 3 or 4 player development guys. They all played college basketball. So it's just, there's a ton of energy. There's a ton of accountability. But he also lets the guys know that he has their back. You know, he's not like stiff and, you know, unapproachable. So he's created just a completely new culture, and he did it super quickly.
It's been great to see. Also, the levels at which Alperen Şengün is playing right now, really awesome to see. I saw the Rockets Twitter accounts trying to make Spin Goon happen. I don't know if I can greenlight that, Vanessa, but from last year to this year, what's been the biggest difference in Alpy?
I mean, I would say his defense, and I talked about it last night because I had asked Coach Udoka that. Alperen's defense is so much better, and they've just spent hours and hours working specifically on his defense of the pick and roll, because last year he was okay one-on-one or against centers and other big men, but he knew he needed to be better defensively. You know, he was well aware of that. Alperen was. So this summer and during preseason, Ime told me on camera in an interview, he told me, you know, my staff and I intentionally got Alperen completely out of his comfort zone during the preseason. And that's why during the preseason, you know, people were like, what's going on with Alperen? But he's really taken to it, and he's thriving, and it's really cool to see. He wants to be coached hard, and, you know, Coach Udoka has no problem doing that, so it's really cool to see.
Basketball players all have egos. Vanessa, do you think that the majority of players on the Rockets right now would admit that Şengün's their best player?
You know, it's difficult. I think, that's a tough question. I think most would admit that he's the one that's carrying a lot of the games. So, like Fred VanVleet, Jabari, like if you watch postgame only on Space City Home Network, plug, no, you'll hear them. You'll hear them say, you know, Alperen was our offense tonight. And you hear Jokic, and you hear Paul George, I almost said Paul Gallant, and you hear James Harden, you hear these guys around the league talking about Alperen Şengün. So I know athletes have egos. Our Rockets team is a group of really good guys, and they're very realistic. Even our rookies like Amen Thompson and Cam Whitmore. So I think everybody would admit that the offense has looked really great going through Şengün. But I also think it's important to give guys time to develop because the other pieces are being built. You know, Tari Eason makes a huge difference on a night-to-night basis. And Jabari Smith Jr. is once again starting to be really consistent. Like, people forget he was 19 last year, which is crazy. So I think the other pieces are being built right now, too, and that's important.
He had a bunch of awesome turnaround jumpers last night. Jabari Smith Jr. did. Vanessa Richardson, Rocket Sideline reporter for the Space City Home Network, with us on the HRP listener line. Jalen Green, it's been up and down for him. How do you think he's been responding to Ime Udoka?
Well, I think he's actually been responding really well. Now, obviously, they want more efficiency. They want more consistency from Jalen, and Jalen wants that from himself. But he's responded really well to Coach Udoka. And, the thing about it is when you have that big of a culture change, you're either going to thrive under it or you're going to get eaten alive by it. I don't think there's an in-between. And I think Jalen is going to thrive under it. He is, very coachable. And it's tough. These guys are so young. Like, I always try to remember the guys that are like 21, like they're the equivalent of being a junior in college. It's insane. So they go from being the man in high school, the man in AAU, the man in whatever they do, a year of college, D-League, to being in NBA, and it's a lot. The good thing about Ime is he has been in every position in the NBA. He started for the Trailblazers, but he also came off the bench, for other teams and really had to grind it out. So the thing that I've really noticed is he can relate to pretty much every player on the court, and I think that's what'll help him with Jalen.
It's been really awesome to see. They own the Denver Nuggets for whatever reason, too, and that game's tonight, 8 o'clock, Space City Home Network. It is a bummer that the NBA Cup, Vanessa, as I'm calling it, I refuse to call it the other title, has come to an end, but it is a relief to know that you were not blinded by the Rockets court.
Blinded by what?
Blinded by the Rockets court, yes.
So that's very strong, very bright. I will say this, though. Like, everybody questioned Adam Silver, understandably so, because it's such a new concept. But nobody can deny that these games have been intense. I mean, it is like... And last night, even though the Dallas Mavericks were out of it, they so clearly wanted to knock the Rockets out of it. So, I mean, it is... These games have been intense. $500,000 and a trip to Vegas, the guys care. And they want to hoist the NBA in-season tournament cup.